Imagine you get a letter. It has your name on it, but the postmark is wrong. From a place that shouldn't exist, a town swallowed by time. You open it, and the words begin to swim, blurring into an indecipherable script. A strange, cold feeling creeps over you, smelling of old paper, forgotten ink, and something profoundly unnatural. And then, nothing. This isn't just junk mail. This is mail that can erase you, body and soul. And it all originates from a single impossible place, SCP-130. In the SCP Foundation's vast catalogue of terrors, there are things that defy all logic. Some are monstrous beasts, others are paradoxes that twist the very fabric of reality. But the anomalies that are truly unnerving, they're the ones hiding in plain sight, twisting something familiar, something mundane, into a waking nightmare. Today, we're opening the file on one of those places. Item number SCP-130. Its object class is Euclid. From the outside, it looks like a forgotten piece of history. A quaint, old post office, silent and unassuming. But behind those weathered doors lies a system running on its own impossible logic. This place processes mail not just across countries, but perhaps even across time itself or dimensions we can barely comprehend. This building isn't just delivering letters. It's delivering cryptic warnings, dangerous artifacts, and a fate worse than death for anyone who dares to interfere with its cargo. So what happens when the mail system itself becomes the monster? What unspeakable secrets are sealed within those envelopes, destined for recipients who may not even exist yet? To truly grasp what makes this place so dangerous, so utterly terrifying, we have to look at the anomaly itself and the chilling trail of breadcrumbs it left behind. The story of SCP-130 doesn't begin with a bang, but with a whisper carried on postal routes all over the world. Sometime in the mid-20th century, a deeply unsettling pattern started showing up in dead letter offices. Mail clerks, sorting through mountains of undeliverable items, began to notice parcels with a peculiar postmark. It belonged to a post office in a small South African town, a building that had officially been closed for years, its existence fading into local memory. This wasn't just a few lost letters. It was a steady, inexplicable stream of packages, all bearing correct postage, yet often addressed to people who didn't exist, or to streets that were entirely fictional. They were ghosts in the global mail system, phantom parcels that defied all explanation. Foundation assets embedded within various postal services flagged the anomaly. The postmark was too consistent, the phenomenon too organized to be a mere prank or a clerical error. It was a chilling breadcrumb trail leading to something far, far stranger. So the Foundation dispatched Mobile Task Force Alpha 4, grimly nicknamed the Pony Express. Their entire unenviable job is to track down anomalous things moving through mail systems. SCP-130 was about to become one of their strangest, most terrifying cases yet. MTF Alpha 4 followed the spectral postmark to a small, nearly abandoned town in South Africa. And there it was, SCP-130. A post office built in the late 1800s, officially shut down decades ago. Yet, it wasn't rotting away. The building stood in perfect, pristine condition. Fresh paint gleamed on its exterior. Windows sparkled, and polished brass fixtures reflected the harsh African sun. It was as if it was still open for business, maintained by an invisible, tireless staff, defying the very passage of time. The building was alive, repairing itself, resisting decay with an unsettling silent will. The first team went inside, finding it eerily clean and totally silent. The air was still, heavy with the scent of old paper, and something else, something indefinable, like static electricity and forgotten dreams. But as they explored the mailroom, the anomaly showed its true, terrifying hand. Without a sound, without a tremor, bundles of mail just appeared. Sacks and boxes, which we now call SCP-132, materialized from thin air, all postmarked with that very day's date from that very building. The agents, their hearts pounding, began checking the contents. It was a bizarre mix. Most of it was mundane, everyday mail, the kind you'd expect. But some of it was profoundly off. There were letters that seemed to come from the distant past, what the Foundation now calls temporally displaced correspondence. Other letters were ones that had been lost to time, never sent, but were now suddenly here, delivered by an impossible postman. It was during this initial terrifying investigation that they learned the first brutal rule of SCP-130. An agent, a young man named Miller, tried to open one of the parcels right there in the post office. One moment, he was holding a small, innocuous box. The next, he was just gone. No flash, no sound, no trace. Just an empty space where he used to be, the box clattering to the floor. The silence that followed was deafening, a chilling testament to the building's power. The mystery deepened, twisting into pure horror 6 days later. Back at a secure Foundation site, a package showed up in their own internal mailroom. Inside was the missing agent, Miller. He was alive, but in a deep, unresponsive coma, his eyes vacant. And branded onto the skin of his back, with unnatural precision, were 2 phrases: return to sender and postage due. He was a living, breathing but utterly empty shell, a stark and horrifying warning. This incident established the fundamental, terrifying principle of SCP-130. You do not interfere with its mail. The building, the system, it has its own rules, its own cruel logic. Break them, and you get marked, processed, and shipped like a misaddressed parcel. Further tests, conducted with extreme caution, yielded similar awful results. Any attempt to damage the mail or the building itself caused personnel to vanish, only to be returned later in a package, comatose and tattooed, with an invoice for their return. The Foundation realized they weren't dealing with a haunted house. They were dealing with an organized, autonomous, and punitive system. Containment wasn't about locking it down. It was about learning how to work within its bizarre, unwritten, and utterly terrifying laws. With those brutal first lessons learned, the Foundation established its grim containment procedures. They had to play the part the building seemed to demand. They staffed the post office with D-class personnel, dressed in period-appropriate uniforms, and began the twice-daily ritual of sorting the mail that appeared out of nowhere. But merely processing the mail didn't stop the strangeness. It just gave the Foundation a front-row seat to an endless parade of unsettling incidents. The mail itself, SCP-132, was a constant source of profound mystery and dread. Analysis showed that while a lot of it was mundane, the exceptions were deeply, profoundly troubling. There were the temporally displaced letters, correspondence from forgotten wars, unsent love letters from the 19th century, postcards from vacations that wouldn't happen for years or even decades. Reading them was like looking at a shattered mosaic of human history, glimpses into lives that were or might yet be. This information was so sensitive, so potentially timeline-altering, that using it to try and alter the past or future requires a 2/3 vote from the O5 Council itself, a testament to its dangerous power. But not all the mail was a passive look at history. Some of it was active and actively dangerous. This became chillingly clear with mail addressed to specific Foundation personnel, often high-ranking individuals. For these deliveries, a special grim protocol was created, Procedure Franklin 16. This procedure dictates that any mail for certain redacted individuals must be handled with extreme prejudice. It gets sealed immediately in a countermeasure case and sent directly to a Level 5 supervisor, where it's screened for everything imaginable: explosives, chemical agents, mimetic hazards, and other threats known only to the Foundation's deepest archives. The contents of these packages were often intricate, lethal traps designed with a malevolent precision. Someone or something is using an anomalous post office to send threats through time, targeting those who stand against the unknown. The implications are staggering. An entity with knowledge of Foundation operations, capable of manipulating this impossible postal system. The mail's influence isn't just physical, it can be deeply psychological. Some mail seems designed for tailored psychological torment, containing information so personal, so disturbing, so utterly soul-crushing that it's ordered to be incinerated on sight, its contents never to be spoken of again. And then there's the just plain weird stuff, strange recurring deliveries that seem like a running joke from an unknown entity, or perhaps a message whose meaning is completely lost on the Foundation, a cosmic riddle delivered by post. With SCP-130, even a seemingly harmless package is layered with unsettling possibilities, each one a potential trap or a glimpse into a reality we were never meant to see. Perhaps one of the most revealing and chilling incidents is Incident 136. A package arrived, addressed to a P.O. box inside SCP-130 itself, for a man the Foundation had no record of. The on-site researcher, following protocol, placed the package in the designated box and waited. A little while later, a man walked into the lobby, looking utterly confused, as if he'd just woken from a dream. He walked directly to the P.O. boxes, and the one with his name on it opened at his touch. He seemed genuinely surprised to find a package waiting for him. As soon as he left, MTF Alpha 4, who had been observing, picked him up for questioning. His story was chilling. He'd been driving nearby with no intention of stopping, but was suddenly hit with a sudden, overwhelming, irresistible urge to go to this specific abandoned-looking post office. The pull was so strong he couldn't fight it, a compulsion that overrode his own will. The Foundation administered amnestics and sent him on his way, but the incident proved that SCP-130's reach extends far beyond its walls. It can compel people, drawing them in to receive their mail like a fisherman reeling in a catch. It's an active predator, and its bait is the mail, a silent, unseen force guiding its victims to their appointed delivery. Containing an anomaly like SCP-130 is less like building a cage and more like learning the steps to a deadly, intricate dance. The containment procedures aren't about suppression. They're about appeasement and participation. They are a grim summary of everything the Foundation has learned through trial, error, and unspeakable tragedy. The core of containment is the staff. Twice a day, a team of 12 D-Class, 6 security agents, and one Level 3 researcher enters SCP-130. Dressed in uniforms from the building's era, their job is to be there when the mail materializes, to sort it into mail bags, and to load it onto a truck for analysis at a secure facility. This ritual is critical. If the mail isn't handled, if the system is ignored, it will eventually distribute itself into the global postal system, far beyond the Foundation's control, unleashing untold chaos and horror upon the world. One of the most disturbing aspects of the containment procedure, a detail that sends shivers down the spines of even hardened Foundation personnel, is the staffing restriction. For decades, the official file stated that all personnel assigned to SCP-130 must be Caucasian. This wasn't some outdated Foundation policy, some relic of a bygone era. It was a chilling requirement of the anomaly itself. Attempts to use personnel of other ethnicities would fail, often with the same dire consequences as messing with the mail. The building was enforcing a spectral version of the social laws from when it was built, a silent, malevolent echo of historical prejudice. It's a chilling reminder that the anomaly isn't just a place, but a product of its time, imbued with the history and the darkest prejudices of the culture that created it. However, a recent addendum notes that this restriction was mysteriously lifted after the end of apartheid in South Africa, suggesting a strange, almost sentient awareness within the anomaly, or perhaps a connection to the broader human condition. The rules for civilians are just as strange, just as unsettling. Security is explicitly told not to stop people from entering the lobby. If someone feels the building's inexplicable pull, that overwhelming compulsion to enter, they are allowed to walk in and retrieve their parcel. Only after they leave the building can MTF Alpha 4 intercept them for questioning and amnestics. Why? Because the building does not like to be denied its recipients. To interfere is to risk the same fate as Agent Miller, to be processed and returned as a human parcel. Then there's the outgoing mail slot. Once an item is placed in it, it's gone, swallowed by the impossible postal network. This isn't just for show. It's a vital, terrifying part of the system. It's how the Foundation pays the postage due to retrieve personnel who fall victim to the anomaly, a grim exchange for their living, comatose bodies. But the Foundation also uses it to send its own mail under the strict, dangerous guidelines of Procedure Franklin 17. This requires using specific anomalous postage and marking parcels with a rotating code phrase, a secret language spoken only between the Foundation and the anomaly. This suggests the Foundation isn't just observing the system, they're actively using it, sending their own letters into this impossible network for reasons that remain top secret, shrouded in layers of redaction. But it's risky. Any attempt to use counterfeit currency, any deviation from the anomaly's unwritten rules, results in a lethal reaction from SCP-130 and a fine that has to be paid before any more mail can be sent. A chilling reminder of the building's punitive nature. Every interaction with SCP-130 is a risk. Every procedure, a desperate negotiation. The Foundation isn't in control of SCP-130. They are its most dedicated and most terrified employees. They are the clerks and the guards, all playing their part to keep a malevolent, impossible mail service running, because the consequences of a postal strike are just too horrifying to think about. Within the sprawling, terrifying fiction of the SCP universe, some entries transcend mere files. They become modern folklore, digital urban legends whispered on forums and analyzed in videos just like this one. SCP-130 is a perfect example. It's not just a document, it's a story that has captured the imagination of the fandom because it hits on a unique, deeply unsettling kind of horror. What makes SCP-130 so compelling, so utterly terrifying? It's the perfect, insidious mix of the mundane and the monstrous. A post office is one of the most ordinary, bureaucratic places you can think of. We all know how it works, how it should work. SCP-130 takes that familiar, comforting idea and corrupts it, injecting cosmic horror into the simple, everyday act of checking your mailbox. The fear doesn't come from a fanged beast or a slavering monster, but from a misdelivered package, a strange postmark, a letter from someone you know is long dead. It's the horror of the familiar-made alien, the safe-made, dangerous. This is precisely why its story spreads so well online, why it resonates so deeply with horror enthusiasts and urban legend buffs. The narrative is incredibly potent. The disappearing agent, returned as a human parcel, with return to sender tattooed on his skin, is a terrifyingly iconic image, a modern-day ghost story where the ghost is an entire malevolent bureaucratic system. The cryptic nature of the mail, the dangerous parcels, the psychologically targeted letters, the just plain bizarre deliveries, fuels endless speculation. Who is sending this mail? Is SCP-130 itself sentient? A conscious entity pulling the strings? Or is it merely a conduit for something far older, far more sinister? The redacted information in the official file only fuels the legend, adding layers of tantalizing mystery. The mention of secret procedures like Franklin 16, the blacked-out names, and the hint of world-altering information create a sense of profound mystery that fans love to try and solve. It invites us to fill in the blanks, to theorize about what could be so terrible, so dangerous, that it had to be erased from the official record, hidden even from those who study the anomalies. Fan communities treat SCP-130 not just as a document, but as a real, haunted place within this shared universe. It has become a landmark in the SCP landscape, a prime example of how the Foundation's clinical, detached tone can create a story far more terrifying than any simple monster description. It's a slow burn horror built on suggestion, on mystery, and on the profoundly unsettling idea that there are ancient, unknowable systems running just beneath the surface of our reality. And one of them is in charge of the mail, deciding who gets what and who gets erased. So what truly is SCP-130? After all the incidents, the grim containment procedures, and the endless analysis, we're left with more questions than answers. Is it a nexus for different timelines, a cosmic lost and found for letters from across history, or even across possible futures? Is it a sentient entity, a ghost in the machine of bureaucracy with its own personality and a cruel, unyielding sense of justice? Or is it just a tool being used by some other, even more powerful and malevolent force to manipulate events from the shadows, sending its dark missives across the cosmos? The Foundation's approach tells us everything we need to know. They, with all their power, their resources, and their unwavering resolve, don't treat it as a problem to solve, but as a force to be managed, appeased, and obeyed. They feed it. They obey its bizarre rules. They participate in its grim rituals because they know they are not its masters. They are just another stop on its vast, inexplicable, and utterly terrifying delivery route. SCP-130 remains contained for now. Its staff of D-Class and agents continue their daily shifts, sorting mail from unknown senders to unknown recipients, a tiny island of forced order in a sea of cosmic chaos. But the mail never stops coming. Every sunrise and sunset, a new batch appears, full of new mysteries, new threats, and new horrors. And it leaves us with one final, chilling thought. Somewhere out there, a letter might be on its way to you. You can only hope it doesn't come from the post office that can literally erase you. If you enjoyed this unsettling dive into the SCP Foundation's archives, be sure to deliver a like and subscribe for more explorations into the strange and terrifying. Let us know in the comments below, what do you think is the ultimate purpose of SCP-130? Who is sending this impossible mail? We read every theory, every chilling speculation. Until next time, stay secure and check your mailbox very, very carefully.